Today we are going to cover or learn about memory allocation or what is memory and how all those things are. How is memory handled in Java? Okay. Now, as you people know that there are two types of memories. Okay. Whenever you are talking about computer application or you are talking about programs, there are two types of memories. One is your static memory and one is your dynamic memory. What do you mean by a static memory? What do you mean by a dynamic memory? Okay, now I'm not talking from the point of view of Java, but I'm talking from every language point of view. Okay, be it C, C++, Java, Smalltalk, Python, any language you just pick a language, it has to have these particular rules. Okay. Now, what is a static memory? Not with static keyword, blah 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 blah. I'm not talking about those at all. Whenever you are declaring in your method, okay, every language will have a main, where that is nothing but the entry point to your program. In main or in your other methods, global variables, whenever you are defining int I, okay, equal to 0, 3, whatever the value you give, whenever you say int I, what happens at the time of compilation, your program knows that this application would require 32 bytes, or depending on the language, how much your integer is taking, those many bytes would be required for the system, and this memory is allocated to the program. When I say byte B, 1 byte is allocated. Int I, 2 bytes are allocated. Short, 2 bytes are allocated again. So depending on the different data types I am going to use, the memory is decided and it has been allocated for that program. So in order to run this particular program, this minimum amount of memory is required. Okay? Now that is called as static memory. But what happens that when you are executing your application and you feel that, oh my god, I want some more memory. What do? You allocate the memory dynamically. Okay? Suppose if you want to allocate 10 bytes of memory dynamically in C or C++, in C what you would use? You would use malloc. Okay? Memory allocation, I want to use 10 bytes. You will execute this method and dynamically memory would be allocated to your application. For your C++ or Java, how is memory dynamically allocated? Definitely. Whenever you are creating a new object in Java or in your C++, what are you doing? You are allocating the memory dynamically. An object is getting created and it is placed on a heap. What do you mean by heap? Heap is nothing but a place where the memory is available for all the dynamic objects. Or heap is a place, or I can also call heap as a dynamic memory place, or dynamically all the memory which is dynamically allocated is placed on your heap. Okay? So, now in other programs, people allocate memory. In C or in C++, you allocate the memory, but you forget to deallocate the memory. Okay? So, if you forget to deallocate the memory, what would happen? You go on creating your I. Okay? You go on creating your integers. And you are creating dynamic memory for that. But at the end of your application, you have reached the peak point of your memory. Now, all the variables or all the integers in your memory had been taken. At this particular point, when you create one more variable, your application is going to throw an error saying out of memory. See boss, there is no more memory available for your dynamic allocation because all the memory has been used by the previous integers or by the previous methods which you were using. Now at this point, a C programmer will say, oh yes, I allocated memory dynamically, but I did not deallocate when my work was finished. Okay, when my work is done with that particular memory, I should free the memory. I should delete that particular thing. I did not do that. So, okay, if it is giving me an error, this particular application is giving me an error, it is my fault. Because I am allocating it after my work is done, after my work is finished with that particular object or with that particular variable, I should free that memory. I should not say that, okay boss, now I have take you forever. I cannot do that. I have to free that memory the moment my work is finished. I did not do that, so I am facing this problem right now. Java says, boss, I am going to solve this problem of yours. Okay? A normal programmer or an average or a good programmer also will allocate memory but forget to deallocate it. So Java said, this is a common problem with our developers community. So I am going to solve this problem of yours. You keep on allocating memory and I am the one who's going to look after the heap. I am the doctor of the heap. I am going to check the health of the heap and I am going to make sure that the heap always provides you memory. You forget to deallocate the memory, I am there to deallocate the memory for you. Okay? Your Java is saying. Now let's study how does Java do this. Okay? Or how does your Java controls the memory structure or handles your heap. Now over here, whenever you are creating an object, okay, I create an object by saying subscriber s equal to new subscriber. What does this new do? It creates a memory. What memory? Dynamic memory. For whom? For this particular object. So the moment this line is getting executed, what is happening over here is an object is getting created and it is placed on the heap. Okay? So S is nothing but the reference variable to this particular object. Now I create one more. S1 equal to new. Subscribe. Again an object is going to get created over here and S1 is pointing to that particular object. Now in my entire application I am using this S and I am using this particular S1. Okay? What would happen is, suppose in my application I say S equal to null. What is happening? I am making this S point to a null. Null is nothing but no object, no nothing. What would happen to this object? Is anybody pointing to this object? No, nobody is pointing. If nobody is pointing to this particular object, can I access this object? I can't access this object. It is just lying in the pool. I can't access it. Okay? But is it occupying space on the heap? Yes, it is occupying space on the heap. So now it is the job of your JVM or it is the job of your Java to go and see that if an object is lying naked over here or if an object does not have a reference point, nobody can access it. So the moment your object loses a reference, it becomes available for garbage collection. It is telling your JVM that, see boss, I don't have any reference point right now, so I am a useless object. You can throw me into a garbage collector or you can throw me into a dustbin. Now, the moment your JVM will come and take this object and put it into the dustbin, what would happen over here? Memory would be free. Okay? Memory is free over here and this place is wiped. Wiped means nobody physically goes and wipes it. The moment you take this object and put it into the dustbin, that amount or that space is free so that any other application, any other object can come and occupy this particular space. Okay? So when you are talking about garbage collection, you mean that all the objects which are not referenced, okay, all the objects which lose their reference, once an object loses its reference, what happens? It is of no use. It is of no use to you as a programmer because the moment I lose the reference, I cannot hold this. I'll give you an example. Suppose you have a pond, okay? Now in the pond, you have your duck toys. You know what duck toys are? Okay, they float on the water. Okay? So now you have a duck toy and you tie a string to that duck toy. Okay, and you put that duck toy into water. Now the way you are moving, the duck toy is moving along with you. Another boy comes. Another boy places a duck toy into the water and holds it with a string. Now you have a pond which is capable of having 15 duck toys at one time. So all people come and place 15 duck toys in the pond. Now you have strings with it, you are using it. Suppose if one of the string breaks, what would happen? That duck toy would be in the lake, but you cannot use that duck toy. Why? Because you don't have a string attached to it. It is already broken. So now what that duck toy is doing? It is just sitting in the lake and doing nothing. Now another person comes with a duck toy and he says that I want to place my duck in the pond. Will I allow him to place? No. Why? Because there is no space in the duck pond. But he will say that, see boss, you are not allowing me to put my toy in the lake, but there is one toy which is already there, but he is not doing anything. There is no string attached to that toy. Now what am I supposed to do? I can see that object is not getting utilized, or I can see that nobody is playing with that duck toy, but I having a string with my duck toy, I cannot place it in the lake. Why? Because there is no place. Now somebody has to go in the lake, take that particular duck toy so that the space is free and one more object or one more duck toy who has the string can be placed in the lake. Okay, so somebody has to go and take that duck toy out so that the space is freed. So this is how this story is also applicable to your objects. Objects have got references. Till the time you have reference associated with an object, till that particular time your object is useful. But the moment your reference, if you are pointing it to null, or suppose you are declaring a reference variable in a method, the moment the execution of the method finishes, the local variables die. Okay, so your reference method is also dying, or your reference variable is also getting done. What will happen to the object at that time? That time also the object would be on the heap, but now the reference is not there. So there are many places, okay, or there are many situations where your reference variable is going to lose the connection with your object. Now all the objects which are placed in the heap but they have lost their reference are called as unreferenced objects, or they are called as right candidates eligible for garbage collection. Because whenever a garbage collector is going to run, its garbage collector is same as your ghanta gadi. Okay, it will come to the heap and check whether there are any objects without any references. If there are any object without any references, it's going to come, take this particular object and free the memory area. Okay. Now, garbage collector is a background job. You can invoke garbage collector, or a programmer can also call garbage collector, but mainly garbage collector is a background thread which is always running, and the JVM keeps on calling garbage collector at a given interval of time or at a given instance, okay, or at given conditions. Now we will see that in our application we are going to see how do objects become eligible for garbage collecting, for garbage collection. What are the different conditions, or what conditions force an object to become eligible for garbage collection? What conditions should be avoided? What conditions should be implied? How does garbage collection run? Okay, we will cover all these points with the help of an example. So let's declare a class called as a fat guy who is going to occupy huge amount of space if an object is created. Okay, so let's call this guy as a fat guy. Okay, now here let's declare or create a constructor. Just create a constructor of fat guy. Now in the constructor, what is happening? I am going to create an array of long L equal to new long. Okay, how many objects do you want? Give 10,000. you've got to give it as, yeah, square brackets. So how many bytes do long occupy? It occupies 4 bytes. Okay, 4 or 3. I guess 4 or 3, whatever bytes it is occupying. I am going to create 10,000 objects of log. That means at a given particular time, whenever I am creating an object of fat guy, I am going to utilize 40,000. Is it 10,000 or 1,000? 10,000, right? So I am going to create 40. I am going to utilize 40,000 bytes. Okay, that much amount of memory I am going to occupy dynamically once I create an object of fat guy. So see, what happens is, go to your main. Now we need to first understand, just say fat guy f equal to new fat guy. Okay, create 3 to 4 objects like that. Fat guy f1, f2, f3, f4, f5. So these many bytes I am going to occupy if the objects are created. f1, f2, f3, f4, f5. Okay. Now tell me, when I run this particular program, what is going to happen? Space is going to get occupied on the heap. After the main, just listen very carefully. After I finish executing line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what will happen? I will come out of main. After I am coming out of the main method, what would happen to f1, f2, f3, f4, f5? They will nullify, or those variables will die. Now, please think that only the variables are dying. What happens to the heap method, or what happens to these objects? They are still placed in the heap. Okay? So one thing you've got to understand is, whenever an object loses a reference, at that point your object becomes eligible for garbage collection. Now we will list out various conditions where it will lose the reference. The first condition is your local variables. If you are creating an object in a method, and when that method finishes its execution, all the local variables are going to die. Okay? So if your reference variables are local variables, if your, who's the reference variable over here? f1. Is it local to main method? Yes, it is local to main method because it is declared inside my main. So the moment my main finishes, f1, f2, f3, f4, f5 finishes with my main. So if your reference variables are declared as local variables in a particular method, the moment the method finishes its execution, all these variables will die. If these variables are dying, what does it mean? The objects have become unreferenced. The objects are still in heap, but they do not have reference. The second condition is, if I make f1 point to null, if I make f2 point to null, can you make it at line number 16? Say f1 equal null, f2 equal to null, f3 equal to null. So now, here I am saying that f1 is null, f2 is null, and f3 is also null. Okay? That means I am removing the reference and making it point to null. If I am this is f1. If I am removing the reference and making this reference point to null, what is happening to this object again? It is becoming unreferenced. So second point is, whenever your reference variables point to null, your objects become eligible for garbage collection. Okay? So now, in order to show you that whenever I am creating object, my memory is reducing, I am going to write a line. Go to line number 10 and write system.out.println. Print the current memory. System dot get memory. Just check the system class once. Now we want to know that before creating these objects, what is the memory available with Java or with your JVM at the current time. In order to get that, we have to create an instance of runtime class. Now, runtime class is a singleton class. Okay, you cannot say runtime r equal to new runtime. You have to get instance from the runtime. See how do we get the instance? Just say runtime r equal to runtime dot get runtime. So get runtime is a static method which can be called with the help of the name of the class, and I am saying get runtime, which means it's going to give me a runtime instance. Now on this instance I am going to say get me free memory. Okay, so r system.out.println r dot free memory. So I want to show you that before creating the objects we have this much of memory. After creating the objects, just repeat this line on line number 17. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So now after creating, how much memory do we have? You've got to import it. Java dot runtime is in what? IO. Runtime is in line only, but that T you have written a capital T, small t. Get runtime. Okay, T again is should be small. Yeah, it should be small T over there. So now let's compile this and run this application. So earlier you had 1596 whatever, okay. After you created the objects you had 63 something. That means you have utilized the memory when you were creating your objects. Okay. Now what we would do is go back. Okay. After line number 21, run your garbage collector. Okay. I am going to say r dot. Okay. You can even see garbage collector can be called in two ways. You can call it by your system class also, and you can call it by your runtime also. Okay, I can just say system.gc or r.gc. No. Okay, so I am invoking a garbage collector. What would happen to the garbage collector now? The garbage collector is going to go to the heap and check if it has any objects which he can take in the garbage collection. If all the unreferenced objects or if the objects are present which does not have any reference variable and they are eligible for garbage collection, I am going to reclaim those objects and free the memory. So I am going to call system.gc over here and again print my memory. Okay, so now compile this. Now there is one very funny thing. You can only request your garbage collector to run. It is not sure that whenever you are invoking your system.gc, it would run or it won't run. Okay? It all depends on your JVM. So now, just compile this. Just see. Here, this was the current memory. This was the reclaimed, this was the memory after you had created your objects. Then you ran your garbage collector. After running your garbage collector, what would your garbage collector have done? Reclaimed all the memory back. Okay? And now this is the memory available. So what is your garbage collector doing? Your garbage collector is going to the heap and reclaiming all the memory from your unreferenced objects. Okay, go back. Yeah. So now, when does a garbage collector reclaim the memory? Either you invoke GC or it is run by the JVM explicitly also. Okay, what happens is you have a heap. Okay, you have your heap and there is a threshold of the heap. Okay, now you go on creating objects in your application. You go on creating the objects, you go on nulling the reference and all that stuff. Okay, now whenever it reaches at this particular threshold, the JVM will say, oh my god, now I think it is the time for me to run the garbage collector because it has reached the threshold. If this program goes on creating objects continuingly, then what would happen? I would reach the top of my heap and then I have to throw an error that JVM is now full, it cannot create more memory or it cannot occupy or give space to more objects. So the moment your heap reaches this particular threshold, the garbage collector is implicitly invoked by whom? By your JVM. Okay. Now there is always people go on asking me that what if I reach the threshold, okay, and I don't have even one object which is unreferenced. All the references are alive. Okay, I have each and every reference pointing to my particular object. All these objects are active. All these objects have got reference and I reach my threshold. The moment I reach my threshold, garbage collector is going to come again and he is going to check whether do I have any unreferenced objects. Now what would be the answer? I will tell all the objects are active, boss. All the objects are doing some work. There is no object with me which is unreferenced. Then what would the garbage collector do? He will go off quietly. He won't say that I am going to nullify the reference or I am going to do something and reclaim these particular objects. He won't do anything. If all the objects are in its active state, then the garbage collector leaves. He does not say anything to anybody. Now, you go on occupying space over here with your references. Okay? You reach the threshold. You occupy space over here also. Now, there is one more object which is coming. There is no space in the heap. Okay? And I say that I want to create an object. At that time, your JVM is going to throw an error saying, see boss, I have reached out of memory. I do not have any more memory with me and you are going on creating objects. All the objects have got references. They can't be even garbage collected. I don't have any memory, so I am throwing an error. I cannot create your object at all. At that time you are going to get which error? Out of memory error. There are very rare cases where you get out of memory error. Usually all this memory allocation is taken care by the JVM itself. As a programmer, you should keep in mind that whenever you are creating objects, and suppose if that object is not in use, then you as a programmer should nullify those objects. The moment you nullify those objects, if the garbage collector is going to run any time, those objects are going to get reclaimed. So make sure that don't just go on occupying space and keep these references alive. If they are not used anymore in your application, please nullify them so that you will never ever run out of memory. Okay, is this thing clear? Now I will show you one console. Okay, now can you please go to your Java console? See, this is supplied by your JVM. This is a particular monitoring tool which monitors your Java memory. Where will you find this tool? Go to your folder. Okay, go to your bin. Now here in your C program files, Java, JDK where you will have bin. In this bin, there is one application called as JConsole. Okay, just click on that application. Just close this. So I will tell them how to go. You close this. And you will close this. Yeah. Now click on JConsole. Okay. Just say I want to monitor my local processes. Okay. Click on this JConsole. Click on this. Yeah. Say connect. Okay. Now go to your memory. You want to see your heap memory usage. Okay. Now you would see all these things are getting used. See. Now you tell me how are they happening dynamically? Your command, apart from your command line programs, there are many programs which might have been written in Java and they are alive. Okay. So this goes on increasing. Now the moment I click on perform GC, that means please perform garbage collection. Click on that. See, it will reduce. Okay, it has reduced to this. So if you are performing garbage collection, it is going and reclaiming the memory back. Okay, now go to your edit plus. Now suppose before reclaiming your object, okay, just listen very carefully. Whenever you want to reclaim your object or whenever you are saying that my object is going to the garbage collection and you want to perform some work on your object, you have lost the reference. Okay. Now what would you do? How would you access that object? You can't access that object. But I am saying that, see if you are taking this for garbage collection, please make sure you do 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. I'll give you an example. Now I have a fat guy. Okay. In the constructor, I am creating an array. Or suppose, imagine that in the constructor, I was not creating an array, but I was opening up a file, or I was doing a database connection, or I was listening to some kind of socket. Okay, and I lost the reference of that object. What would happen to the file? It would be opened only. What would happen to the socket? You would be listening only to the socket. I will say, oh shit, I just cut the reference right now. I lost the reference to that object, but that object is still reading a file, or that object is still holding a socket connection, or that object is still getting connected to database. I don't want that. Before this particular object goes to garbage collection, I want to close the file so that any other object or anybody else who's reading the file can reopen it again. I want to close the database connection. I want to do all this cleanup activity. Then what am I supposed to do? I have lost the reference now. I don't have any reference with me. Then what am I supposed to do? Garbage collector over here gives you a very good opportunity. He says that I am giving you an object called as, or I am going to give you a method called as finalize. Finalize method is going to get called the moment your garbage collector is going to reclaim that object. I'll just tell you. Can you please write finalize? Okay. You have a finalize method. You need to override that finalize method. Okay. Finalize. Just give a proper this thing, protected void finalize. I am overriding this method. Protected void finalize. Okay, I am writing system.out.println. Suppose I am doing all the cleanup activity over here. System.out.println. Finalize called. Finalize called. Okay. So now what would happen? Before my GC is running, or when after my GC is running, I am going to go to an object and ask him, boss, you don't have a reference, no? I am going to collect you and throw you in the dustbin. Now before I do that, I am going to check what is the class of this object. Oh, it is a fat guy object. Okay, then I will go to the fat guy. I am a garbage collector. I will go to the fat guy and I will check whether this particular class has got finalized or it does not have finalized. If it has finalized, I am going to execute that method and then I will say, okay, now the execution of finalize has been done. I will take you as an object and put you in the dustbin. So when is finalize getting called? When your garbage collector reclaims that unreferenced object, it calls finalize on that object. After executing the finalize, it is going to throw that particular object into the garbage pool, or it is going to throw that object into the dustbin. We will just see that after running my GC, my finalize method is going to get called, and then I am going to print my free memory. Give me some time. See, now here finalize is getting called thrice. Why? Because, go back over here. I am sure that F1 is equal to null, F2 is equal to null, F3 is equal to null. I am sure that at this particular time when I am invoking the GC, there are 3 objects which are available for garbage collector. There are 3 objects which can be called. This F1 object, F2 object, it does not have any reference. F3 object, it does not have any reference. So all these 3 objects are eligible for garbage collection. So the moment I am running this GC, I know that there are 3 objects, boss. And whenever I am claiming or reclaiming these objects, I am going to check, okay, these are from fat guy, finalize method is there, execute it once. Then I go to the second object and I try to reclaim that. It is also fat guy, execute this finalize, come back again. Go to the third one, reclaim that third particular object, finalize is there, execute that, come. So if I include F4 equal to null, please include F4 equal to null. Now finalize is, I am sure that 4 objects are there which do not need reference. So whenever the GC is going there and reclaiming it, finalize would be called how many times? 4 times. Why 4 times? Because there are 4 objects. Can you please call or execute this? Compile it and run it again. So now how many times the finalize is getting called? 4 times. So when is finalize called? Every time your object is getting reclaimed by the garbage collector, your garbage collector would check what object is this. If it is a particular class, it will go to that class and see whether a finalize method is there. If the finalize method is there, it would execute the finalize method and then put the object into the garbage collector. Okay. So this particular garbage collection is very, very important from your memory point of view. You only, as a programmer, you only have to keep in mind that you should not keep all these references active. If you are not using them, then please nullify them. Okay, that would be all for garbage collector. Thank you.